Hello my students, my name is Banik. I am PGT English, Barjala Binapani Higher Secondary School, Jirania. Today we will be reading a poem from Standard 12. It's included in your book Flamingo and it's included in your pre-board syllabus as well. Okay students, we will move into our poetry, but before that I want to share something with you. Who is the most precious person in our lives? The one who gives us life. The one who has brought us into this beautiful world. Who is she? Yes, she is our mother. What thoughts do you get when you hear the term mother or ma, as we call it in India? The image of a mother, how's it? A very benevolent lady, a lady who loves us a lot, who always has our back, right? It's your mother who does who cooks tasty food for you, who packs your bags, who helps you in your studies as well, and who scolds you but loves you the most. Obviously, our father is also similarly important to us, but a mother is a bit more special, isn't it? Yes. Students, even the very thought that we have to live without our loved ones, it makes us so terrified. We all are mortal. Man is mortal. No one is immortal. One day we have to live without our loved ones, but the very thought of it, it makes us so sad, right? You see my students, in the course of our life, we get engaged in so many relationships. We get a father, someone is our brother, sister, friends, etc, etc, etc. But there's one relation with which our bond is 9 months extra. You may know your father for 30 years, 40 years, your friends for 20 years, 100 years maybe. But with our mother, our relationship is always 9 months extra. Why? Because we were in her womb for 9 months more. Isn't it? Okay. So I think you have already got an idea what's the topic about. Okay, let's have a look at a picture first. Okay, so what did we see in the picture? We saw there are two ladies and one of the ladies is bidding goodbye to the other lady. Yes, this is our poetry for today. My Mother at 66 by Kamala Das. Kamala Das, she is an Indian English writer. She was born on 1934. She is from Malabar, Kerala. She used to write under a pen name. Pen name means a pseudonym, that is when a person doesn't use his or her original name, and her pen name is Madhavi Kutti. Kutti in southern India would mean something like that of a beloved or a elder sister kind of. So her pen name is Madhavi Kutti and our poem name is My Mother at 66. You see my students, Kamala Das is a very versatile and very original writer. She writes about things with which we can relate to. Her writings has indigenous flavors of the soil, and obviously the word mother is so special. A word with which we all can connect to. The very word mother would mean, it means life, it means love. Okay, so if we see the poetry, the poem is very beautiful. It describes the feelings of a daughter towards her mother. So let's begin the poem, but before that, let's have a look at a picture of our poet. So now let's move into our poetry. I have written the first few lines of the poetry here. Here we'll see that our narrator, she is driving to Cochin from her parents' home, and while traveling she is having different kinds of thoughts and emotions, and she is sharing all those things through these lines. She is accompanied with her 66-year-old mother, and she has different kind of thoughts about her mother. Okay, she can find that her mother has turned very old suddenly, and she is not at all happy to see that. Okay, so now let's see. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin. Our narrator is traveling to Cochin. Till now she was at her parents' home. Maybe at Cochin she is studying or she is working there, or she got just married off there, and now she is going back to Cochin from her parents' home. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin. My. Here my stands for whom? She is a narrator. Okay, so the narrator is traveling to Cochin. Last Friday morning. On which day she was traveling? She was traveling on some Friday morning. Alright. I saw my mother beside me. I saw my mother beside me. She saw her mother beside her. Obviously, her mother is with her in the car. All this while, she was at home. She was with her mother, right? But just at this moment, her realizations are something very different. She just paid very much attention to her mother's face. And she is full of some thoughts. I saw my mother beside me. Her mother was beside her in the car. Doze. Doze means to sleep. Whenever we travel in buses, cars, or sometimes even by flight, we tend to fall asleep, right? Like a short sleep. This is known as doze. So what the mother is doing? The mother is dozing. She is kind of sleeping. Okay? Open mouth. Whenever we sleep, suddenly we tend to leave our mouths open, right? We all have that weird habit. So her mother's face is also open and she is sleeping. Her face ashen like that of a corpse. The narrator is looking at her mother and her mother is sleeping. She is tired. She is old. She is weak. Her mouth is wide open and she is looking like a corpse. What does a corpse mean? A corpse means a dead body. The way her mother is looking, the way the mother is sleeping, it seems like she's dead. She's like a corpse. And realized with pain. And then the narrator has some realizations. And she's pained to have those realizations. What the realization is? That she was as old as she looked. She suddenly realized, oh my God, my mother has turned so old. When? I didn't even realize. When my mother turned so old that she is almost looking like a dead body. She's so weak. She is not full of that energy that she used to have. Right? And all these thoughts has made our narrator very much pained. She's not happy about it. Students, have you ever realized that we celebrate our birthdays, right? Every year, we are very much happy that we are celebrating our birthdays. Do we realize that with each year, we grow a year older? And with that, our parents also grow older with us. Do we realize? Someday when you come back from your workplace, or someday when you come back from from the place where you were studying, you suddenly realize that the hairs of your parents have turned white. What would you feel then? You would be very much pained to see that the energetic persons who always had your back, who always were running after you, do this, do that, and today suddenly you feel like, how did they turn so old? Why did they lose their strength? Where is that vigor? Where is that youth of my parents, of my mother? All these emotions are running inside our narrator as well. She is very pained to see that her mother has turned so old. So a fear comes in her mind that with old age, it means she may lose her mother. We don't know. Life has no guarantee. So she is afraid she might lose her mother because she has turned old already. Alright, next move on to the next lines. But soon put that thought away. But soon our narrator tried to keep the negative thoughts away. She tried to change her mood. Alright, she tried to put that thought away. What thought? That her mother has turned so old and her mother isn't looking very well, very healthy. She tried to put that thought away and looked out. She tried to look out. Look out from what? From the car. Through the window of the car, she is looking outside just to have a fresh breath of air so that the turmoil that she is facing inside her gets settled. and looked out at young trees sprinting. She tried to look out of the window, and there what she saw? She saw nature. Nature, young trees sprinting. Sprinting means to run. It seemed like as the car is moving forward, it seemed like the trees are running back. So in a sense, the trees are sprinting. You look at the word young here. Why young? You see, the word young is very much in contrast to her mother, who is old, right? The merry children spilling out of their homes. Again, see the word children. Young trees and children. Both these words represent youth. They represent something which is just opposite to the old age. Inside the car and outside the car, the scenarios are totally different for our narrator. Inside the car, she can see her mother like a dead body. She can see that her mother has aged. She can see her mother is very weak. She is very fragile. She is looking sick. And outside, she can see the young trees which are running as if the young trees are blowing with the wind. The merry children spilling out. Spilling out means to come out of their homes. The children are coming out of their homes in order to play. Maybe they want to play. So the scenario outside is full of life. Okay, and the scenario inside the car is so sad for her. Okay, my students, did you get the contrast between the two scenarios? It's kind of an imagery which is presented here. An imagery inside the car and an imagery outside the car. And both are very different from each other. You see, my students, aging is a beautiful process, no doubt. It's something which comes very naturally. We cannot control being aged. But it's true, with every year, we are moving towards nothing but towards death. So this feeling of aging, our narrator is not feeling very comfortable with this thought of aging. She is feeling terrified. She wants her mother to stay with her forever. But seeing her that old, she realized, oh no, I may lose my mother. You see, students, now you are in standard 12. Next year, when you pass the board exams, you will be going out for studies and whatnot, maybe out of your town, out of the country. Remember one thing, my students, our parents age like we also do. We grow up, our parents also grow up. So it's our responsibility to look after them. We have to look after them till it's very late. Our parents caress us, they love us, and it's our duty to reciprocate the same to them. Our aging parents have some expectations from us, right? They are doing everything to build your life. They are doing everything so that you have a good life. So isn't it our responsibility too to look after them? Or to see to it what they expect from us? What do they expect? They expect only respect, love and care. That's all, right? This sense of loving and caressing our parents is very much evident in our poetry today. That's why this poetry is so special. Okay, now let's move on to the next lines. Okay, so the next lines. But after the airport's security check, in the airport we have to do security check, right? If you have traveled through airports, in airports you might you may know that you have to do the security check. And after we are done with the security check, we are not allowed to go back to meet the visitors. Okay, so our narrator, she does the security check standing a few yards away. Now she is standing quite a distant away from her mother. I looked at her. She looked back at her mother. Her here means her mother. Wan, pale. She is looking wan. She is looking pale. She is looking tired. She is looking lifeless. She is looking helpless. Okay? As a late winter's moon. She compares the appearance of her aged mother to a late winter's moon. How is the moon in the winter? The moon is covered with fog. It's not very much visible. It's not as bright, as shiny as it is in the other seasons, right? The moon doesn't look very shiny. It doesn't look very white. It's covered with mist. It's covered with fog. Similar is in the case of the narrator's mother. The narrator mother is in her 66 age, right? So she has already passed her middle age. She is very much aged, I should say. And she doesn't look very young. She doesn't look very healthy. So here the comparison has been made with a winter's moon. She has lost her shine, the fierceness, the brightness of her youth. Okay? And felt that old familiar ache. Ache means a kind of pain. Our narrator, by looking at her mother, is feeling a kind of pain. Her heart is aching. Her mind is pained. My childhood's fear. She remembers a childhood fear. What is the childhood fear? The childhood fear is of losing mother. When we don't get to see our mother in her childhood. For example, when you were young, when you were younger, when you used to come back from school to home, whom did you look for first? Where's mom? Where's mom? Mom, where are you? Ma, like that. Isn't it? And whenever we realize mom is not at home, mom is out of home, mom has gone somewhere, we were always full of questions. When is mom going to come back? Where is mom? Mom, please come back. Isn't it? This is the kind of feelings that we have in our childhood towards our mother. These feelings remain throughout. But maybe with age, we stop to express themselves, the emotions. We stop to express the emotions. But now, our narrator is feeling that old familiar fear. The fear that mom is not going to be with me. Oh no. Mom, you have to be with me. The old familiar pain she is feeling in herself. She is feeling like she is a kid again. And that kid needs her mother forever. She can't afford to lose her mother. But all I said was, see you soon, Amma. You see, our author is full of so many emotions. She is troubled so much. She has so many thoughts swelling up in her. But she composes herself. She stops herself from expressing those feelings to her mother. Why? Because her mother is already aged. Now, if she shows that she is not very happy, the mother will also turn very unhappy. She doesn't want to bother her mother. So, she composes herself and only says, see you soon, Amma. She bids goodbye to her mother and says, see you soon, Amma. In this line, what can we see? We see a hope that is budding up in our narrator, that when she comes back again to Cochin, she will be able to see her mother. She has a hope in her that her mother is going to live for another couple of years. This is a hope in her. She wants to see her again. Whenever she comes back to Cochin, she wants to have her mother with her. Okay? So, she said, see you soon, Amma. Soon. With a promise. She is going away. That she is going to come back. She is trying to console her mother. Obviously, students, the mother also wants the children to be with them. Parents do not want their children to go away, but we have to go. Sometimes we are bound to go due to work, due to some work or due to studies and all that. But parents always want their children to be with them. That's why she is consoling her mother that, mother, don't worry, I will come back again. I'll come back to you. She has a kind of a guilt in her, maybe, that she has to leave her mother. Why? She can see that her mother needs her care. At this age, she should be with her mother, but she has to leave her. So a kind of a guilt is also working in her. She doesn't want to leave her mother now, honestly, but she has to. That's why she is going back with a promise that she will come back. Okay? All I did was smile and smile and smile. She controlled her tears. Her soul is crying for her mother. Her soul is crying to be with her mother. But she has to go. She knows that. That's why she controls her tears. And all she did was smile. You see, a smile is the most beautiful ornament anyone can wear. A smile can heal every wounded hurts. Therefore, she smiles in order to console her mother and in order to assure her that, mother, don't worry, your daughter is going to come back to you soon. Okay, you see, my student, this is such a beautiful poem, and we all can relate so much to this poetry because this is about a mother. And we all feel the same feelings towards our mother. You will see, after the 12 standards, if you have to go to some other city for studying, you see how much your heart will be pained when you will have to leave your parents. I suggest you, my dear students, you go wherever you want. You should go in order to build your life, in order to build your career. But always remember that our aging parents have some expectations from us. We should always come back to them. They need us. At least in the old age, when all their strength and vigor is gone, we are the one whom they need the most. Always come back to your parents. Always love your parents. And you will see how blessed your life will be. Okay? Okay. So now, let's do something. Let's talk about the different kind of literary devices that have been used in the poetry. Okay. So there are a couple of literary devices that have been used here. First, let's talk about simile. What is a simile? Simile is when you compare a thing to another thing which seems to be similar. Okay. For that reason, we use words like as, like. These words are used in order to hint at a simile. So here we can find that the poet's the narrator's mother's face has been compared to a corpse. It's like a corpse, they say, so it's a simile. Then the mother has also been compared to a winter's moon. So in both these words, simile has been used. Next, we can see personification also. Personification means where human attributes are given to some other things other than humans. So here we can see that trees sprinting. Trees are sprinting. Sprinting means running. So the trees are actually not running. A tree cannot run also. A human can run. But here trees are running, it seems. So here it's an example of personification. And obviously there's imagery also. I told you earlier that trees are running, children are coming out. This is a kind of imagery that the narrator has tried to create in front of her eyes. And another imagery is inside the car where the mother is dozing and she is not looking very healthy, she is looking like a corpse. So these are the couple of literary devices that have been used. So now students, let's do something. Let's recapitulate whatever we have understood. Let's recapitulate our poem My Mother at 66 by Kamala Das. Our narrator, she is driving to the Kochi airport with her mother who is at 66. The old lady is sitting just beside her, dozing with her mouth open. Her face looks pale and faded like a dead body. Therefore, our narrator is very sad. She can't see her mother, aged. She feels sad. She feels pained. In order to change her mood, she looks outside, where she can see the trees, the green trees, the healthy trees. And she also sees that children are coming out of their homes to play. These trees and these children make her feel that the youth of her mother is gone. Her mother is no more young. The two imageries are totally contrast to each other. Her mother is very aged and the children and the trees are very much young. She then remembers her childhood fear. Her fear that she might lose her mother. She is so attached to her mother. We all are, dear students. We all are very attached to our mothers. We can't live without our mothers. Therefore, a narrator feels that in the childhood, her mother used to love her so much, and she still does. And she also loves her mother a lot. How can she live without her mother who has aged? Aging means going towards death, isn't it? And therefore, she feels she wants to stay with her mother forever. She doesn't want to leave her mother now, but she has to. She has to go. The world outside, which is full of life and activity, is very much different to the condition of our mother now. The world outside is very much contrasted with the pale and ashen face of her mother inside the car. And so she lives because she has to. After doing the security check, she looks towards her mother, and she wanted to say so many things, but she could not say anything. She only said, "See you soon, Amma." And then she left with a smile, with the hope that she will get a chance to unite with her mother again. She will come back and she will see her mother. Her mother will see her. On this note, our poem ends with a very positive note about the reunion of the mother and the daughter. But it also a message to all the children out there to look after their mothers, to look after their parents, especially in the old age, because in the old age the children are the sticks, or I could say they are the supporting system for the aging parents. Okay, that's all. Okay, so now let's discuss some probable questions that you may face from this particular poetry. First of all, an extract may be given to you like this, and based on this extract you have to answer a few questions. For that, my dear students, you really have to read the text, otherwise you won't be able to spot from which poetry or from which text this extract has been taken from. So there's an extract. You see, driving from my parents' home to Kochi last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me, doors open mouth, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked. From this extract, the following questions has been given. You see from which poem the extract is taken. We will say the extract is taken from My Mother is 66. The poet is Kamala Das. Where was the poet driving to? The poet was driving to Cochin. Why was the mother's face looking like that of a corpse? The mother's face was looking like that of a corpse because she had turned old, and it had lost all its glow and color, and that's why it looked like it's lifeless. What did the poet notice about her mother? The poet noticed that mother had turned so very old, and her face is like that of a corpse, and that her mother was sleeping with her mouth open. Why was the realization so painful? Obviously, the realization was painful because her mother had grown very old, and that might mean that she is going to die sometime soon, and she won't be rescued from the cruel hands of death, and it would separate her from her mother. All right. This could be a probable question. Next, you see 3 marks question may come like, how does Kamala Das try to put away the thoughts of her aging mother? There you will see that she tries to put away the thoughts by looking outside the window where she could see the trees or the children, but that didn't make her any happier because the two scenarios were very much different. Next question, what were Kamala Das's fear as a child, and why do they surface when she is going to the airport? Her fear as a child was about that she could not find her mom with her always, and it was the feeling of losing her mother. The same feelings are till now inside her when she is on the way to the airport, and when she sees her mother's aged face, it is a sign of the old age, and that's why she is very sad. Next question, why has Kamala Das compared her to a late winter's moon? We'll say that the winter's moon has lost all its brightness and luster, and similar is her mother, who is at her 66 age now, and she is pale and has an ashen face, and she is devoid of all the exhilaration of youth. Why are the young trees described as sprinting? The young trees are described as sprinting because the car is speeding forward and the roadside trees seem to be going back, that is in the opposite direction. That's why. Okay, what were the poet's feeling at the airport, and how did she hide them? Her feelings were that she is not sure whether she would be able to see her mother or not next time, and therefore she tried to hide her feelings by smiling and reassuring her mother that she will come soon. Why has the poet brought in the image of merry children spilling? See, as I told you earlier, that the image of merry children and trees sprinting are very much opposite to the old age of her mother. And that's why, in order to show the contrast between old age and young age, this imagery has been shown in order to bring out the pangs of old age. Okay. So now some long answer type questions could be like, students, like the title, how far the title is justified. So we'll say yes, obviously the title is very much justified, because the title says my mother at 66, and yes, the entire poetry is about mother who is at 66 years of age now, and with old age, what are the physical transformations that has come in her, and what are the realizations that the narrator has. We'll talk about all these things, and we'll say yes, the title is quite justifiable. Then we'll talk about the summary. Whatever you have understood from the poem, whatever I have explained, you can include all that. And in the central idea, obviously we'll talk about the mother-daughter relationship, we will talk about that old age is inevitable, we will talk about the mortality of man, etc, etc. Okay, a question may be there, like, bring out the significance of the smile of the poet as she bade farewell to her mother. Why did she smile? See, she wasn't happy, but yet she smiled. That's only because she didn't want to bother her mother. She tried to hide her all the fears behind a smile. Okay, and maybe she's trying to console herself as well as her mother, that she'll come back, and she's also consoling herself that don't worry, your mom is not going anywhere, you will be able to see her soon. In this way you can frame this answer. Another question maybe, analyze the concept of losing our dear ones on account of old age. Okay, the concept, yes, obviously the concept of losing dear ones is obviously very much evident there, and we'll say that it is the complexities of the human nature, or the fear that lingers in our minds that we are going to lose our loved ones. Obviously no one is immortal, everyone is mortal. We have to lose someone at one point or the other, and similarly a mother is also growing old, and she has a pale and a weak face, and she is sleeping all the while. She is looking like a corpse, and the narrator is very much tensed about it. But her fear, her attention is now arrested by her mother's failing health, and yet she smiles only with the hope of meeting her soon. So we can see that in spite of the fact that we will lose our dear ones, we have to live on. We can't stop living. So my dear students, these could be the probable questions, or through these questions you will be able to answer other questions also, but for that very important is that you read the text first. Okay, so my dears, we have discussed the poem, we have discussed about the literary devices, we have discussed about the different kind of questions that you may face. I hope this video will be very helpful to you, and always read the text properly so that you can get into the nitty-gritties of any text very much. So at the end of this beautiful poem, the only message I want to give you is that always take care of your mother, your father. All the relations are very important to us. We should look after them. We should show our love to all the relationships in our lives before it's too late. We don't know who will leave us when. So it's very important that we show love to everyone at every stage of life. Thank you. Hope to meet you soon with another topic. Till then, bye.